This is Ndtv, and you're watching Classics.
Thank you for joining us here on Ndtv Profit, and joining us here right now is the Managing Director of Porsche Middle East, Mr. Deesch Papke. And Deesch, thanks very much for joining us. And of course, we know you very well here on Ndtv. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Let me start with perhaps the most cliched question. The vehicle that's behind you, the new GTS, what do you hope to achieve with this new product that you have on the Cayenne range?
What we saw was an opportunity within the product range to fit a new product nicely between the Cayenne S, which is our bread and butter volume car in the Cayenne range, and the Turbo, which is our performance car. So we took the standard V8 engine that is in the S, we changed the car. As you can see behind me, the dynamics look like the Turbo. The engine is slightly more powerful. We have a different suspension setting. So we've created another niche in the product range with a really sporty, dynamic, enjoyable driving car.
Now, did you feel that you needed to bring such a new variant in? Because the Cayenne is already very popular, and we've seen that right from the start, you've achieved tremendous sales with it. So did you really need to bring in a new variant from the sales point of view, really?
We've always got to be looking for opportunities where we can give our customers something even more enjoyable, something even more dynamic. So yes, we are blessed with the fact that we have strong demand at the moment, especially in the region. But that won't stop us from always looking for something that just affords the customer that opportunity to have something a little bit more unique, maybe a little bit more sporty, a little bit more dynamic. And we're never going to tire in that pursuit.
Right. Now, do you expect also there to be a good demand for something like this in India? Because the Cayenne itself is already pretty popular there, and specifically this one, do you see potential in India?
You know, we've had a very interesting introduction into the Indian market. It started off nearly 3 years ago. There are some real challenges in the Indian market, which we now understand. We've overcome. We have a very strong partner. We've now homologated the Cayenne S and the Cayenne Turbo. That was completed next year. We will now, in the following months, continue to pursue the homologation route. And Cayenne is suited perfectly for the Indian market. As the infrastructure grows, we'll see sports cars starting to increase their market share. But for the time being, Cayenne will be the lion's share in the Indian market.
Now, give us a sense of where the Cayenne fits in. As far as India is concerned, what chunk or what percentage of your sales does it account for today?
At the moment, it's 85%. Within the product range itself, you have a very unique split. Excuse me. You have the customers who buy the very top end, the Turbo with a very, very high spec. And then you have customers who are entering the brand with the V6 with a more moderate spec. By offering the GTS between the S and the Turbo, you get the discerning customer who has an opportunity to say, I want something that is more sporty, more driving dynamic. I have the opportunity of the unique colors. So we think it's going to be very good for the market.
Now, in India, do you see a bit of a change setting in? Because we've seen a lot of these products doing well because, they have a good sort of status attached to them. But do you think it's going to move beyond that, where people start to see the capability of the product itself more and more?
You need to afford people the opportunity to enter the brand. Our brand is a very aspirational brand, and we're very lucky with that regard. But you can't only offer the top of the range always. So you give people, the customer, the opportunity to enter. If we do it well, we deliver the services that they demand, you then have them. So they'll go from V6 S Turbo, maybe into the sports car range, but you must always give people that opportunity to enter the brand.
Okay, now give us a sense of the market that you actually operate in. Porsche Middle East, what does that constitute? Which countries and what regions are we talking about?
The region is extremely dynamic. I would be arrogant to say I know the region well. I know it better than I did 3 years ago, but it is such a diverse, energetic region. If you think about Africa as a continent, we have South Africa, which is a established environment. Then we have all the opportunities of the oil-rich countries, Nigeria, Angola. Kenya, sadly, is being faced with the political issues that they have. We have Egypt, which has been there for a very long time. Levant, a country like Lebanon, sadly being troubled by all these political issues, still managed to sell 200 Porsches in that market. And then we have the juggernaut with regard to the GCC, Dubai. You spent yesterday wandering around here. If you look at the construction around us, it is now the biggest sales deal in the world. And based on the diversity of their economy, not only do they base everything on the oil income, it's already got a clear strategy that it should not be only oil income based. But of course, with an oil price of over $100 a barrel, that does generate very good cash flow. And then we have your market, 1.2 billion people, economy that is booming, but it isn't that visible at the moment. 10 years from now, and this is a humble opinion and it's a personal opinion, I think India is going to be as big as this market. But between today and then, we have an enormous amount to do. We as a brand, our importer, and the country at large, they need to get on pace with the development. I think those are enormous challenges for a country of that size and with those strong-rooted democratic political environment there. You don't just make unilateral decisions about change. It'll take a while, but we're very, very positive about India long term.
When you talk about a market like India, it's been said so many times, the potential of a 1.2 billion population. But let's be fair, most of these people aren't really going to be able to afford these cars. So you still see a big potential, don't you, even at this end of the market?
If you look at the statistics that are freely available, even if you discount those by a number of percent, the number of dollar millionaires that are being generated every month, the investments, the fixed foreign investment that's coming in from, which hasn't been in India for a very long time. You have very successful local companies, but now for the first time you're getting international companies investing. It's going to take a while. But there are many parallels drawn between China and India. China is this juggernaut that is flying ahead, and people keep saying, what's happening to India? India, I believe, is going to start slower, but sustain it for a very, very long time.
Now, for years, we've seen this constant comparison, India, China versus India, or India versus China, whichever way you want to look at it. Do you see that finally we're going to, perhaps in a few years' time, move away from that, where each one is just a separate entity, a separate market by itself, or will these comparisons just keep continuing even for brands like yourselves?
Unfairly, I think not. It's similar population sizes, similar unknown quantities, so there will always be parallels between China and India for terms of reference. But you're right in when you say China should go ahead and do China's way, India will go ahead and do India's way, and eventually the economy should be compared in 10, 15 years' time. But as I said, for now, you're going to be compared every month.
All right, now within your region, within Porsche Middle East, which are the vehicles that do well? How does it break up as far as the entire range is concerned? And what's the kind of customer profile that you're really looking for?
Before the introduction of Cayenne, we had moderate performances. The region did 300-400 cars. Then when Cayenne was introduced, the Cayenne range is perfectly suited for the region. That you have the benefits of an SUV, but you have the sporty, unique dynamics of a Porsche. And that has proven to be an enormous success for us in the region and across the region. The only market where we sell more sports cars than Cayennes in the entire region is South Africa, a very old traditional sports car market. But we started off with 85% Cayenne across the region. Last year it was 65%. For us, that is very good because the brand is being institutionalized with the sports car growth. But Cayenne is perfectly suited for the region. We have benchmark leading dynamics with regard to our product. It has been extremely well accepted, and our forecast for the future is that we will continue to have the very strong demand for Cayenne while we spend a lot of energy growing the sports car segment, which bodes well for the brand in total.
All right, but unlike South Africa and India, we don't really see those sports cars, and do you see that changing at all? I mean, as people start to appreciate the brand, or even as the roads get better?
I don't think one should always draw parallels because there are different dynamics. But one thing is for sure, the young, dynamic, successful Indians who are now wanting to enjoy the fact that they've worked so hard and succeeded also want to enjoy driving sports cars. As the infrastructure develops, last night we were talking about the expressway. Those are being built very, very quickly. It's an enormous country, it takes a while. But there are opportunities. In a city, maybe not, but once you leave the city, there are opportunities to enjoy the cars.
Now, it's been said often enough, infrastructure is the key problem, and we're seeing things happening, but is that development or is that growth just too slow?
One's initial reaction is that it's frustratingly slow because you always want to see things happen quickly. But to be fair, these things take a very, very long time. And it's not a green fields operation like Dubai, where you have a strip of desert and you can put an 8-lane freeway in over 3 years. Yeah, you must, the density of a city like Mumbai, for example, you can't just put in expressways. Maybe they've got to be flyovers. So it's going to be frustrating, but clearly there's a plan. Is it the Golden Quadrilateral that is already committed, is nearly complete? Once that's done successfully, then I'm convinced you'll see quicker growth in the cities. We were in Bangalore at the end of last year, and there you can see the things that are happening. they're working at getting things done as quickly as they can.
In a few years' time, as we see these, the roads coming up, the infrastructure getting better, do you think that there would be sort of a big shift where you see suddenly that you'll start to have a much stronger foundation and, build a much stronger growth base from that? Because then, there'll be a bigger appeal and a wider appeal for the kind of products that you bring in and not just the Cayenne.
I believe that the foundation for our business is already there. We have a very strong following. The brand does have enormous equity already. The customers are willing. There's a pent-up demand, let me put it that way. And once the infrastructure is then available, the pent-up demand will come. We have a very important job to do in the meantime, to ensure that we deliver the requirements for the customers out of an after-sales point of view, out of a delivery point of view. But whenever we go there, you have this excitement of the brand and that it's there and there's an appreciation of what we're doing. So there is a strong demand.
Now, a lot of critics will always argue that there's always been a big pent-up demand for these cars in India. Not surprising because, we just didn't have them a few years ago. And as that pent-up demand starts being met, and there is still a lot of demand, but as it starts getting met, it's going to slowly sort of start to fizzle out. Do you agree with that? Are you worried about that at all?
No, I think what will happen is that the pent-up demand is there, very much so. And as the economy produces more and more distribution of wealth, the pent-up demand will continue. For how long that happens and how sustainable it is over, but for at least the next 10, 15 years, that economy is going to grow and grow and grow. And when that is happening and you have double-digit economic growth, you're creating a market. As people enter the opportunity and their disposable income comes up, that market grows.